Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to VOMI and the VOMI Executive in Residence program. I know the first question that each and every single one of you has in mind is why a VOMI Executive in Residence program? Well, you already have the answer, and that's the one that we have on our website at VOMIexecutiveinresidence.com. The link is also in the showcase on the right side of your screen, just in case you are watching us live or you haven't had a chance to visit the website. To continue, that is to give you a real insight into the world of virtual organizations, albeit for a very brief 30-day period. But that is as simple as it gets. But the real question is one that we have for you, which is, besides out of pure curiosity, why is it so important for some of you to want to get a real insight into the world of virtual organizations, especially when your employer is not a virtual organization? By the way, that is a rhetorical question that you don't have to answer, because I know that you don't really have the correct answer. There are some virtual organizations out there that you might one day have an interest in working for. I would have to give you some very disappointing news, which is, outside of VOMI and our virtual organization affiliates, no such animal exists. There are, however, plenty of virtual companies and quasi-virtual organizations out there who believe that they are virtual organizations for the simple reason that they don't know any better. And if you were to ask them, what is a virtual organization? They wouldn't know where to begin. In other words, for them, a virtual organization is what they think it is, whatever that may be. So, what is the official definition of a virtual organization? It's an organization which has a virtual workforce, a virtual workspace, and practices the virtual organization management discipline. And what is the virtual organization management discipline? It is a universal set of standards, best practices, policies, and procedures for operating, managing, and leading in a 100% virtual organization environment. Here is a perfect analogy. The virtual organization era that we're currently in can be compared to the beginning of the turn of the 20th century, when we were just beginning to mass produce automobiles and begin to build the road and freeway infrastructure to accommodate these cars. And we in the United States began to wrestle with the concept of what it means to be an automobile driver, and began to contemplate the development of a set of standards, practices, policies, and procedures for recognizing such driver. But there were many reasons for trying to come up with such standards. Some of these reasons were economic. In other words, it's just another source of local revenues for the government. But others had to do with local governance, meaning just another way to keep tab on who's coming in and who's going out. Now that people had a car, they could travel long distances. So you wanted to make sure that you were able to keep track of visitors and outsiders. And it was also another way, okay, to an additional method, okay, to exercise control over a population at the local level, which eventually expanded to a national and then global level, although that was never the original intent. Since today, all I need is your driver's license number. It doesn't matter where in the world you're located, then I can find out a great deal about you. And last but not least, some of these reasons had to do with legitimate safety issues. You'll notice that safety issues is last with respect for the reason for licensing a driver. And also personal accountability. If you get into an accident, of course, you hurt someone, then you can allow someone to continue to keep driving, especially when they have when they've shown themselves, they've proven themselves to be unable to drive. Please mute your telephone, mute your mic, so that
thank you.
mute your microphone, so that we're not hearing
I've
you.
done that. Yeah. Please.
All right. So to continue. But it wasn't until 1959, around 60 years later, that all states in the US required everyone to take a written exam and driving test in order to obtain a driver's license and be formally recognized as a licensed driver. But prior to that time period, in certain states, anybody who could buy a car or just get behind the wheels and drive considered himself or herself a driver. So in essence, with respect to the United States, it took over 60 years for the entire country to adopt a universal set of standards, best practices, and procedures for awarding the driver's license and title of licensed driver. All right. So you can compare this universal set of standards for recognizing someone as a licensed driver to the virtual organization management discipline, which is a universal set of standards, best practices, policies, and procedures that all organizations must have in place. It doesn't matter where in the world you are located, in order to be recognized as a virtual organization. In other words, with respect to the virtual organization era that we are in today, we still have another 40 years, another 40 to 60 years to go before the world fully understands what it means to be a virtual organization and adopts the virtual organization management discipline, this universal set of standards, practices, policies, and procedures that all organizations must have in place in order to be recognized as a virtual organization. Well, why is that? Well, that's because today, anyone who has access to a computer and can get on the internet and start to communicate and do business in some fashion or another, thinks that they are operating a virtual organization. Well, let me backtrack a bit. Honestly, they don't even know that there is such a thing as the virtual organization management discipline, and that the companies which practice that discipline are officially called virtual organizations. So they only think of the words virtual organization in a generic sense. In other words, since they are an organization operating in a virtual environment, they figure that there must be a virtual organization. Thus, if you were to follow up with any of these questions, are you a virtual company? Are you a virtual team? Are you a virtual group? Or are you a virtual business? They would reply yes to every single one of these questions, as long as it has the word virtual in it. Therefore, our work is just beginning. It has just begun, and we have quite a bit more years to go before we can all be on the same page and say, virtual organization mission accomplished. But the virtual organization era that we are currently in can also be compared to today's internet era, starting from the time when we first began mass production of PCs, personal computers, in the 1980s, to the development and implementation of the World Wide Web in 1993, all the way to the current internet infrastructure we have today, which, by the way, is very primitive compared to what we have coming down the road within the next 30 to 40 years. And why is that, you might say? Well, that's because tomorrow's internet technology and infrastructure, as well as advances in distributed off-grid energy technology and resources, which will be made available to every single human being in every corner of the world. We should know because we are working on that. We're talking to our partners regarding that, such off-grid energy technology, particularly for certain parts of the world. It will make it possible for us to not only accommodate the current 4 billion plus people on this planet who do not have internet access from their home, maybe on their cell phone, but not from their home. But also, it would also fully and seamlessly integrate them in the global economy. And as we usher in that new internet era in the next 30, 40 years, every single human being from every corner of the globe will become exposed to the virtual organization management discipline and the power and benefits of this world of virtual organizations that we call the new virtual organization world. So in conclusion, you can say that the reason that we, meaning those of us who are currently exposed to the world of virtual organizations and practicing the virtual organization management discipline, are at the very least 30 to 40 years ahead of our time. And from a very conservative standpoint, about 40 to 60 years ahead of our time, which is due to the fact that many throughout the world, have to wait for the technology community to further develop and deploy the internet technology and infrastructure, as well as the distributed off-grid energy technology infrastructure and resources that the world needs in order for everyone to be able to fully catch up with us. So in other words, there are two sides of the same coin. Without access to both the new internet technology infrastructure and the distributed off-grid energy technology infrastructure and resources, we will continue to have in place the current disparities in access to such resources around the globe. And the new virtual organization world will be just a mirage of an oasis. So the sooner that you can begin to get an insight into this world of virtual organizations that I call the new virtual organization world, the more it is to your advantage, for the simple reason being that insight will give you an opportunity to be one of the founders and builders and shapers of the new virtual organization world. In essence, you can say that by the time that people from all over the world realize what a virtual organization is, you will be 40 to 60 years ahead of them. Of course, that's assuming that you'll still be alive then. but nonetheless, your generations, your children, grandchildren. All right, so that is for a business, for an entrepreneur, that is an almost insurmountable lead, an insurmountable advantage, okay, to have over anyone or any organizations. So why don't we go over the nuts and bolts of this program, of the VOMI Executive in Residence program. As our website indicates, we have two versions. Don't know if you had a chance to go to it, but right here in the showcase portion, we do have the links that you can freely click on, the link to the VOMI Executive in Residence program website. So with respect to these two versions, we have a by invitation only version for a 30-day period. That's the one that you are currently exploring right now. And then we also have a paid version, which ranges anywhere from 30 days to a full year. So anywhere from $15,000 for 30 days, to a full year for $150,000. And they have to be, with respect to the paid version, you have to be sponsored by an organization. We do not allow individuals to sign up for that program. So the by invitation only applies strictly to executives who have demonstrated a strong interest in virtual organizations or the virtual organization management discipline, and also to top-tier VOMI candidates who are currently employed and would like an opportunity to get an insight into virtual organizations. So if you are not working, you don't have a job, and you want to participate in that, unfortunately, you will not be able to do so, because that's against the law. But if you're already employed, working for an organization, then, okay, we'll allow you to participate in the by invitation only program. So we offer a very flexible program, and our participants, so that our participant can be accommodated based on their current full-time job schedule. Now, as for the paid version, these participants are required to participate on a full-time basis because their company is paying for that, and we cannot afford to have them. It's a different program in a way. The idea is the same, to gain an insight into virtual organization, but they would be working on a full-time basis for the duration of the program. So it doesn't matter, and they have a choice. It's not only 30 days, they can choose 30 days, as I've stated earlier, up to 1 year. All right, so how exactly does that work? Well, first and foremost, we're not allowed to provide you with virtual organization management training in any way, shape, or form. We can, in fact, US law specifically prohibits us from providing such training to our by invitation only participants, since we are not charging you a fee for participating in the program. I know it doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it is. If we're not charging you, if you're not paying us, then we cannot train you, and we cannot train you for free. So that's the way it is, and that's very important. So what the VOMI Executive in Residence program provides you is actually a virtual sandbox, which contains all the tools that you need in order for me to evaluate and for you to learn how your existing education, skills, and knowledge would fare in a virtual organization environment without any formal virtual organization management training. And I can tell you right now, it would be an exciting, it would be a very eye-opening experience. So we have a virtual sandbox document, okay, that is included in a welcome package, okay, to all new participants, okay, in the program. That is, of course, assuming that you are selected to participate in the program. And we'll provide you with that information at the end on how to apply and selection criteria. Second, as your guardian, I will give you a layout. For those of you who are participating, I'll give you a layout of the number of initiatives that we currently have in place, and then give you an opportunity to select after the meeting, okay? Not this meeting, but once you have been chosen, we'll give you an opportunity to select the one initiative that you feel most comfortable with and which is of most interest to you. Third, with respect to the program, the way it operates, please note, we also have a virtual organization program project assignment. So once we receive that information from you, we'll go ahead and assign you to a virtual organization project based on one of the initiatives, okay, that you have selected. Third, the welcome package that we send, okay, to all candidates, it will also include tips on best way to proceed. So in other words, we're not just going to throw your idea to the wolves and just say sink or swim. So it is a very, it is a regulated process. It is a disciplined process. So you will also receive not only a virtual organization project assignment document, you'll also receive a tips on best way to proceed document. And you'll also receive a basic policies and procedures document, and so on. And fourth, okay, we will also, starting with your very first day on the project, okay, we will meet at a set time on a daily basis, Monday to Friday only, for up to 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be for the full 15 minutes, but for up to 15 minutes in order for me to quickly answer any questions that you may have and to also provide you with some feedback. So the more questions that you have, then the more feedback, okay, you will get, and the more you will learn, and vice versa. And last but not least, I'll go ahead at the end of that 30-day period, I'll go ahead and evaluate your performance. Even though that we will be doing that, I will be doing that on a daily basis. So at the end of the program, I'll give you the final results of your performance. As well, if your performance was satisfactory, you will receive a VOMI Executive in Residence letter of participation. That is, again, assuming that your performance, okay, was satisfactory. All right, so why don't we go over the main initiatives. Right there on the side of your screen, we have, in the showcase section, we have a list of links to the major initiatives that we are working on. We have the League of Extraordinary Virtual Organization Executives. We have a link to the new Virtual Organization World Consortium, the Virtual Residential Community Consortium, a Virtual Campus Dormitory Consortium, and last but not least, VOMI licensing program. So for purposes of this presentation, I will not go ahead and go into a whole bunch of details. Since you do have the link, you can actually take the initiative if that is of interest to you, and go on the website and get as much information as possible. And once you have thoroughly acquainted yourself with these major initiatives, then you can go ahead and contact us. Send an email to chairman@virtualorganizationinstitute.com and let me know which one would be of interest to you. And then you can go ahead and we will send you information on how to apply. And of course, there's a qualification process. That's for the by invitation only. And we will go ahead and review your background. If we feel that it is suitable, you may want to send us as much information as possible, because we want to make sure that only people who have a strong interest in virtual organizations and the virtual organization management discipline get to participate. We don't want to waste any time with people who are only looky-loos, people who just want to come in, kick in, check things out, and then walk away. We don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of time. All right. And so that's basically that. So if anyone has any questions, you are welcome to ask them at this point in time. So I'll go ahead and open up the mic for you. Okay, is there anyone who has any questions at this point in time? If not, then this announcement is technically over. Hello, Olo One Siwa. Is that your name? Okay, well, that is it, and thank you. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for participating, and we look forward to hearing from you. For those of you who are interested, have an awesome day. What's left of it.